All right, welcome back. Jeff Crouere here. It's Ringside Politics on Real America's Voice. Thanks so much for joining us. So, at a recent meeting of team owners, NFL management imposed a requirement for the upcoming season that all teams have an assistant offensive coach who is either a female or a minority. NFL owners already adhere to something called the Rooney Rule, which requires at least two minority candidates be interviewed for open head coaching positions. Because many head coaches are promoted from these lower positions, the NFL intends for this new requirement to help meet the league's equity goals and the demands of league's critics. A diversity committee will also expand the Rooney Rule to focus on senior level coaches and front office personnel positions. Well, let's delve into it. Gentleman who is a member of the Project 21 Black Leadership Network, Mike Hill, is with us here on the program. And Mike, how are you, sir? Good morning. Welcome.
Jeff, I'm doing great. Good morning. Thank you for having me.
And thank you so much for being with us. So, what's wrong with a little diversity and inclusion in the NFL, Mike?
Well, what's wrong with it is being forced upon the teams instead of the market, those fans who attend the games to decide that is what is going to happen. This whole issue of diversity, inclusion, and equity is rooted in critical race theory, which is rooted in Marxism, which is rooted, of course, in communism. It is a way of dividing, creating class struggle so that they can then come forward and build back better. It is nonsense. You should let the free market determine who is going to be assistant coaches, or whatever. And this whole idea that a female has to be included as an assistant offensive coach, I think is ridiculous. Shouldn't the coach at least be someone who played football before?
Well, and your points are right on target as far as the most qualified, the best. Those should be the ones selected, regardless of race or sex. I mean, but to force all this on coaches is just and owners is, I think, beyond ridiculous. But the NFL has been trending in this direction, Mike, for a long time. From the kneeling to the support for Black Lives Matter. I think a lot of fans have been turned off for quite a while. This is just the latest, Mike.
Exactly. And I think it's hurting the NFL and its brand image. Jeff, I have not watched a football game since they started that kneeling nonsense. I haven't watched a game, and that was back in 2016. I haven't watched a football game, including a Super Bowl, since 2016 when they started that kneeling. And the reason why I was so turned off by that is because at the time I had a son who was in the Marines serving on a ship off the coast of Africa, defending our country, defending our nation. And here these ungrateful idiots are kneeling when the American anthem is being played, national anthem, and the American flag, disgracing our country and those who serve to defend and protect it. I was infuriated. And since then, I haven't watched the game.
Good for you. And I know a lot of other people have had the same response, and rightfully so. I mean, it was infuriating what they did, placating all of this nonsense and anti-Americanism. And, of course, it's continuing. The NFL is so woke, so PC. It is disgusting. And now, promoting this new rule. Obviously, they believe that there's not enough diversity in the coaching ranks. Do those critics have a point, Mike?
I would say no. And the reason why I say that is, Jeff, I remember watching the NFL when I was a young kid in the 60s. And at that time, the NFL was virtually all white. Players, coaches, officials, everyone. Then you get into the 70s and 80s, and it starts becoming more diverse. More blacks were playing in the game because they had the physical abilities to perform at a very high level. Now we see in the NFL that it is majority black, and it's because that is what the fans, the consumers, like, that's what they demand, because the blacks with their athletic ability are able to win games. And that's the bottom line. Can you win games? So I think if you have one of these coaches who says, look, I'm not going to abide by this new Rooney rule. We're going to hire whoever's most qualified, and they win games and they get onto the Super Bowl, fans will come to watch that team regardless of who is coaching or who is on the field. They just want a winner.
Yeah, and that's an interesting point about how things have changed over the years as far as the composition of these teams, and more and more black players over the years, and that's been based on talent and who can perform the best. And shouldn't that be the same standard with coaches? Who's the best? I mean, regardless of race, who does the best job coaching? And those should be the people that fill these positions. There's been no quota system as far as the players go. Why should there be one as far as the coaches, Mike?
Exactly. And Jeff, the danger of this is it probably won't end here. Now they're saying that we demand, those on the left, we demand that you have females and minorities as assistant offensive coaches. Next, they're going to demand that they become a coach. And then they're going to demand, well, wait a minute, what about LGBTQ? Why don't we include them also? Because they are never satisfied. They are always wanting to go the next step, push the envelope even further and further, instead of letting the market, the consumers, the fans of the NFL determine what they want, not pressed on them by some woke ideology.
You're right on target. And until the public starts saying no and starts penalizing them for these decisions, they're going to keep doing it. Now, we'll see if Disney gets penalized for their radical LGBTQ agenda. We'll see if the NFL gets penalized for doing all of this as far as viewership. I know that it did go down a little bit after all the kneeling, and that sort of got pushed to the sidelines a little bit, Mike. They sort of do that more in private. Some players don't come out for the anthem. They try to not highlight that anti-Americanism as much, because I think they did pay a little bit of a price with viewership going down.
They absolutely did. We all saw the pictures and videos of the stadiums that were half empty, and that was costing those owners of those teams a lot of money. And so instead of putting it in your face, kneeling on the field during the national anthem, as you say, they just wouldn't come out, or that they would stay in the locker room, but they wouldn't even play the national anthem sometimes at some games, just so that they would not be able to disrespect it and the fans would see that. And again, Jeff, this is all based on this class struggle of communism. And people need to recognize that it is an evil specter. But we on the right, instead, we champion the rights of the individual. We don't look at everyone as a group or in a class. You champion the rights of the individual. We believe in freedom of speech, freedom of religion, equal protection under the law, and support protecting and defending a constitution that limits the powers of the government by the consent of the governed. That is what we believe. Not this woke ideology trying to create these class struggles, which eventually would take down this great nation.
Well, Mike, all I've got to say to that is amen. I agree 100%. You are right on target. Thank you for sounding the alarm on this issue. Thanks for your leadership on this. We appreciate you being with us. We'll do it again soon. Mike Hill with us of Project 21 Black Leadership Network. Thank you, sir. And a very important discussion about a very important topic, and that is the NFL and what is happening, because it's a major pastime in the country, and it is being taken over by leftists, as is Disney, as is so many other entities, outlets, institutions in our country. A lot more to get to.